Okay, so I have just started recording. So in GL, so what we have the last point is that budgeting. Okay, so in the last session or the last class, so we saw this mass allocation, and before that we saw the reporting and the other things. Okay, so almost we have covered GL. So if we have any questions, so probably once we complete this budgeting, we can have it. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, so probably we can start with our payable modules. Okay, so that's what I have planned for today. Okay, so I'll just start with the budget configurations. So to have the budget configured, so firstly we will have to enable the budget for our ledger. Okay, so that's the first and foremost setup that we'll have to do. So that is here, if you see manage budgetary controls, so if you just click this option. Okay, so here you'll have this option called budget to summary account in general ledger. Okay, so these are the additional options that you can enable, that is synchronized with your hierarchy. Okay, and then with your validations and securing the control budget definitions. Probably if you want to have certain users to have it updated. Okay, so that's the option about this. So now to enable this budget, so what we'll have to do is that, so let's say I'm taking US primary ledger. Okay, so this is the one. So now under US primary ledger, if you see, so here we have four business unit that is created under this. So I'm going to take this particular business unit, that is Supreme US business unit. All right, so I'm just saying edit. So now if you see, for this particular business unit, we haven't enabled the budgetary controls. So I'll just say enable. So the moment you say enable, you'll have the relevant options enabled. Okay, so for example, if you see, so you are asked to select if this particular budget will be used only for ledger, or this is project related budgetary control that we are setting up, or this can be used either as an ledger or project. So when do we use these options is that, so if I'm going to use this particular budgetary control only at ledger level, so I will be using first option. Okay, or let's say I am using this option for my project module. So I have implemented Oracle Fusion project accounting. Okay, so now I wanted to enable project, so I can just select this option. But let's assume that I have both the options, that is my ledger, and I also wanted to use it for my project. So in that case, I'll use this option called ledger or project. Okay, so what will happen when I enable this option and I create what do you call the project budgeting? So there is an option in project management, so wherein I can create this budgeting there. So the way I will create budget there is that, so I will have my resource and then I'll have my task. So now this budget that I'm creating is for a particular resource. Okay, so resource in this case, let's assume that I have engineer, which I will consider as a resource. So now if I'm setting up the budget for this particular resource, so system automatically creates this budget because this budget is handled inside project management, but still this will be interfaced with us here in the budgetary control. Okay, so that's about the project. But when it comes to ledger, it is the option what we are going to see now. Okay, so that is the one that will get created, which will be a manual setup that we will have to do and load the budget in order to use that. But before that, we also have certain rules that we need to look at it. Okay, so I'll just explain in details. Yeah, so the other option is that if we want to set the validation, so I'll just say transaction budget date falls outside the range. Okay, so this option will be enabled when I say either project or ledger or project. Okay, because this is purely based on your project attributes that we are creating. The one such example that I gave is the resources. Okay.
Arun, I have a
Yeah.
question. So you say that project also can be set up, no? So we set up this budget control, and then I understand if we are doing at project level also, it will be aligned with the budgeting. But do you know anywhere like how do we know in a setup level in PPM side or project side, how it carry forward? I understand the logic behind it, but any particular setup in PPM do we need to enable?
Yeah, PPM, that's what we have this project budgeting. So the way that we will do is that, so I'll say this is my resource. So there itself I have my cost budget and I have my revenue budget. So the revenue budget is different. So the cost budget will say this is my budget say. So the in terms of project, so this budget is handled there in the cost management, which means the project management itself. So there itself we will say this is the budget it is allocated. As a information, it will be passed to GL.
Okay, so will it if I'm crossing the budget, will it allow me give me a warning or will it stop? That kind of
Yeah,
level does it?
yeah. So that is again based on the control that we are setting up there. So similar to GL, you have also this control there in order to select whether you wanted to have it as an absolute or whether you wanted to have it as an advisory. So let's say you are selecting this resource as an absolute. So when this, so let's say $30,000 is what I have given. So now if I cross this $30,000, it is going to say it is going to restrict me to complete the transaction.
So where do you say that $30,000 in transaction level or?
Yeah, transaction level. I mean the budget cost when I define it, I'll say for this particular resource $30,000. So now
That is in PPM only.
PPM only, not here
But
PPM.
you say budgetary control in GL, but it has to. What I was assuming is like say 1 lakh is set at GL level, and it can be used for multiple projects also. So I can take that 1 lakh and distribute to 10 different projects as 10,000. I was in that assumption. Is that my understanding correct?
No, project meaning you are referring to the actual project or the project segment that we define here.
Oh, I didn't mean that segment, but yeah,
Okay.
maybe. See, my understanding, I don't know segment level and all. I could get
Okay.
that there is a control you're setting up in GL as 1 lakh, but I can use it for a particular department or division. However, it can be for under the ledger, there could be a different projects, right? It
Yeah.
is it. Are we going to set at segment level or like that kind of a detailing? If you could tell, to help
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, so there are two ways of looking at it. So now if I if I say at chart of accounts level, so I will have my project segment separately in my cost COA. So now if I want to enable at project level, so that I'll be able to do using this chart of accounts. So for that I don't need this option called project because I'm handling only at my COA level, which means this is handled at GL or the ledger level. But what we are talking about is projects wherein for the entire project we will not be able to set it up as an budget cost as far as I know. So it will have to be done for a particular resource. So now you can name the resource, like if you have let's say a vehicle. So for this vehicle, if I want to use it for this particular project, so I want to allocate this much of the amount, so that you can define it at resource level. But project level, as far as I know, we cannot do that because it's at whole, but we will not do it budgeting in project as a whole, but instead we'll have breakup, because at whole if we are looking at it, so I will not know exactly whether I want to spend this amount in my vehicle or in my actual resource, or I mean there are multiple costs involved in it, right? So I wanted to segregate it. So that is the reason the project budgeting is done at resources level. Did it answer your question or?
Arun, one more question. Like, so if we are doing a project thing, is it
Okay.
mandated to have a project segment or doesn't need? Like, if we are
No,
going with project.
yeah, having the project segment, it depends on the business requirement, one thing, because most of the things that I have worked, business has asked for it, because if you are sending any information to, let's say, payable, let's say I am incurring an expense. So now I want to either get from the project module, or I'm incurring this expense and then I'm pushing this information to project module. So now in order to derive the accounts, or if I want to look at the profitability based on the project, all those things, so we will need this project segment. So the projects that I have worked, uh, I mean there is a business ask to include the project as a separate segment.
Okay,
It is not
okay, I got
mandatory
it.
to use, but yeah, that's it.
Okay, so what I'm my understanding is finally like so we have a budgetary control that can be enabled at GL level also, which can be
Correct,
utilized in project level, and but
correct,
budget and transaction level everything is set at PPM or projects level only. But
correct,
rollover, no, whatever from projects it's getting rollover to the ledger is like to GL.
correct,
But whatever I'm setting for a project as that amount, no transaction, but limitation is at PPM level only. It
correct,
doesn't come from GL. There is no value from GL. Like
correct.
grants, we have some sponsors and all. No, not like that.
Yeah,
Right?
correct,
Is that okay?
correct.
But why do we need to have no? So I'm trying to understand. But uh, even in PPM, there is a control, absolute, advisory, or kind of even in PPM, it's there. When there is no action done at GL level, why is it required? I'm sorry, it's a silly question, but even in PPM, we have this kind of a limit controls. We have no.
Yeah, even in PPM we have that. I mean, here if you see in GL for the project, so we'll not be even able to load the balances here. So whatever the project amount that we will have to give, so it is necessary to be given in the project accounting module only. So here we will not be able to give it also, but Oracle has designed in such a way that it will interface with the GL modules to have it as an one consolidated screen, wherein whatever the budget that is created in the system, so we'll be able to see it here, even though we'll not be able to see the actual budget. So if I want to look at the budget balance or the budget amount, so still I'll have to go to project accounting module to look at it. But if I have, let's say, 10 projects created, I mean 10 budgeting that has been created, so in order to view that information we are having it here, the option, but the actual balance is loaded for GL, it is here, but for project accounting it is in the project accounting module only.
Okay, okay, Ron, get it. Yeah. Okay,
Okay, any other question?
I'm good, Arun.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so that is about this. And then this is the mapping, I mean basically for the chart of accounts and this thing. So if you want to use the specific value, so probably you can use this option. So in this case I'm not doing any changes. Okay, then we have the business unit level budgeting that probably we can enable. So I'll say enable. So now if you see, so you will have your procurement to payment business functions. So wherein you can have your exclusion or inclusions done here. So that is if you say click transaction type. So you can say for project related information whether you wanted to use this budget or you want to use this only for the supplier purchases, or whether you wanted to use non project internal material transfer, whether you want to use this. So these are additional controls that if you want to exclude something, so probably you can disable here. So this is for not only for the requisition, so you will have this for the procurement, and then for receiving, and then your expense module, then the payable invoicing. So payable invoicing is nothing but the standard invoice that we create. Okay,
Arun,
so
could you also tell me ledger and project that options, please,
ledger, okay,
on the
sorry,
header level? Uh,
okay,
what will be enabled here?
ledger or project option, okay, 1 minute. So additionally, we will have this option enabled. So I'll just disable it for business unit and then enable it here. Okay, so just disable this and I'll say ledger or project. So if you click this option, you'll have also this option. So this is common to budgetary control. So this option is that transaction without project attribute. Okay, so now if you enable this option, so it will check also for the project attributes that we are creating in the system. So when we say project attribute, it is basically based on the control project that we are creating here. So that is here. If you see, so this is the chart of account and this is the budget segment that we are having. So we are just trying to build the combination, because here if you see, so it's not the same way that we'll have I mean if we are having different mapping, so then we can say use a specific value when it's not provided in the budget data. Okay, but mostly in terms of budget configurations, if you see, so this is first option. Okay, and second option is this. So we'll have to enable this option, that is for project accounting business function. Okay, and then if you want to exclude certain sources, let's say I don't want to use it for let's say payable specific sources in this case. So just for understanding I'm saying, but usually will not do the exclusion for payable. But let's say I don't want to get it from payable invoice. So one such option is that I can do it here by transaction, or I can just add the transaction source directly here as payable. So I'll just say add. Okay, so I can just say here. Okay, so now let's say I don't want to use it for time and labor, OTL. So I don't want to use it for OTL. So probably I can say exclude the I can say exclude time card. So which means that this particular budgetary control that we are setting up, so it will not work for this particular source called OTL. Okay. So similarly, you can just include or exclude your this thing. So here you have also option to. So here you also have option to exclude your projects. Oracle Fusion projects, if you say so, which means that this control what we are setting up, so this will not work for the project uh, module. I mean, basically the transaction that is created there in the project, and then if you are transferring this information to the payable module or to the GL, so basically it will not check or it will not validate for the budgeting control. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just say save and close. So this is first setup that you'll have to do. If I want to use the budgetary control option, I'll have to say this is my ledger and I wanted to enable the budgetary control. Okay. And once you have enabled the budgetary control, probably you can just say save and close. So if you don't want to use at business unit level, so probably you can avoid this part to enabling at a business unit. So in this case, I'm using for both the ledger and the business unit. Okay, so I'm just saying save and close. Yeah, then we have manage control budgets. So here I can just say add to create a new control budget. Okay, so let me just name this as JK budget. Okay, so I'll just take this calendar. So we have option to either select the accounting calendar. So in this case I have taken my accounting calendar, but if you want to set up your own budgetary calendar, so you can say here, so I'll just say duplicate and I'll show where it'll say this is used only for budget. Okay, so here if you want to use only for budget, you can say budgetary control only. Okay, then you can give your start date and then your periods. So let's say it is from Jan, and let's say 12 months. Okay, so this is how the calendar will be created, and you can just, okay, I think the dates are not given. Yeah, the rest are same process. So we'll have to fill in for all the 12 periods. So I'm not doing it right now, but uh, so you'll have to just give your start date and end date, and you'll have to just save this, and you can open the next case. So this is similar to your uh, actual calendar definition which we saw earlier. So that is the same thing. Okay, so that we are not doing it again, but the process is same. So it's only the option of enabling it's only for budgetary control. So that we'll not be using this particular thing for our actual ledger or the accounting calendar. Okay. So the reason being, so here you don't have the adjusting periods. Okay. So this is the one that I'm using. Okay, so I'll say it's 2023 Jan to, let's say, December. We select it for September. Okay, so here if you see, so there are a few other options. So in case you are using Hyperion planning, so you can just say Hyperion planning. Okay, so this will link with your EPM module basically. So I can refer this particular budget there, but if I'm not using, so probably I can say control budget. So when will I say control budget is that if I am creating this as a child budget to a parent budget, so I'll say this is a control budget. So it will ask for which source I'm creating this particular budget, which means that, let's say, this one AGPS budget. So this is my parent budget. So when I say parent budget, it could be your yearly budget. So this will work this way. So let's assume that I have a requirement wherein I don't want to restrict my monthly budget, but I wanted to probably override my monthly budget, but I don't want to override my yearly budget. So what I'll do is that, so I'll create first, I'll create my PTD budget, so which would be in advisory. Okay. So then I'll come back to the screen again and I'll create my yearly budget. So now I will tag my uh, what do you call it? This is my yearly budget, and this let's assume this is my monthly budget, PTD budget. So I'll tag this here. So which means that, let's say I am allocating $10,000 for this month called December. Okay, or let's say Jan. Okay, so now I am purchasing something which costs me $20,000. So since I have my budget there in the next month, so I'll utilize that amount also. So which will allow me to do it because that I have selected this as an advisory, wherein I can use it as a whole year balance. Okay, so that's about this option called control budget. But I'm not using this as an parent or this thing, so I'm just using this as the regular budgetary control. So I'll just say yes. Okay, so mm, what is this? Yeah, so this is the correct one. So if you see, I think there is some issue with refreshing. So if I select other, which means that my budget will be copied here, which means that my source and the actual budget, sorry. So which means that my source and the actual budget are same. Okay, so that's about this option. So when I create one budget for this, so this is how I'll do it. So I'll say others. Okay, and then I have my currency, be corporate. Okay, so here if you see, so there are four options. So first one is absolute. So when I say absolute, which means that if this 10,000 is crossed, so system will not allow me to do transaction beyond this 10,000. So that's absolute. And advisory is something that if I'm using let's say beyond 10,000, so it's not going to restrict me, but it is going to give me warning saying that I am crossing this particular budgetary amount. Okay. And third option, if you see, so this is track. It's not going to give me warning also, but it's going to just track this. So where I can see, so I have the budgetary reports wherein I can see what are the transactions that crossed the budget. So that I can just look at it. So that's just for the reporting purpose, but it's not going to warn me or it's not going to stop the transaction. So that's about the track option. And none is that basically this control will not apply. Okay, so I'll just say absolute, and then if you want to set the tolerance, so you can just say let's say 2% or 5% you want to have this as an tolerant, so you can just set the limit here. Okay, yeah, so then your ledger, so it is US primary ledger is what we are taking. Okay, okay, so this option is enabled since we said it's a project or ledger. Okay, so if we are selecting only ledger, so we'll have this option by default, no project on the transaction. No. So just select this one. So I'll have to create this person as an employee. So I'm just picking one from the list. Okay. Then the option to increase the adjustment or decrease the adjustment if I don't have this fund, so whether I want to allow is the option. Okay, so then I have the override. So if I'm enabling override, to what extent I can override, I can define it here. So let me see. So this is my limit. Okay, so when this override is done, so whether I wanted to notify it to my budget manager, so I can enable this option. Okay, and then here if you see, so what is the segment that I want to use it for this budgeting. Okay, so in this case, I'm saying this is for account, but it's not limited to one segment. So you can add this control for multiple segments as well. So that is for your company cost center. So you, so you can include in your budget. Okay. So then you have an option called supplemental rule. So when do we use the supplemental rule is that, so here if you see, so I have set it up as absolute, and we have defined this for account, which means that this budgetary control will be enabled for all the accounts irrespective of the account type. Okay, so let's say this I don't want to use it for my ownership equity. So I don't have option here, because if you see here, so it is checking for all the accounts. So now I have this option called supplemental rule. So this supplemental rule, what this will do is that, so here I can say what are the accounts that needs to be checked. I'll just say budget validation. Okay, so now if I'm using this for a particular business unit, then I can specify that business unit. Or let's say I'm not using this for a business unit, I'm trying to apply this condition for ledger as a whole. So I'll have to leave this option open. So that's the reason if you see, so this is not mandatory. So this is optional. Okay. So now control level, if I say advisory here at this level, so system is going to check this rule if condition is matching. Let's say I'm using this for only for my expense accounts. Okay, so now if I select one expense account and here I say advisory, so system is going to take this control level. Okay, so if I have not included here, then it is going to take it from my actual budget, that is from the absolute. Okay, so in this case I'm just saying this is absolute. Okay, so then if I want to give specific accounts, I can specify here. So I don't want to specify at this level, so I'm just saying here if you see here natural account type, so here I will say I wanted to use this only for my expense. Okay. Yeah, then also you have option for the others as well. That is your journal entry, project accounting, and invoicing, procurement, all those options. So if you want to restrict, you can do it. And then your journal source and category, again this also you can do. So this is your receiving destination type. Okay. So that is whether you want to use it for only your expense as a destination or inventory also. So these are the options. So I'm just saying only for natural account type expense. Okay. So I'll just say okay, or let me just add the specific. Okay, so for now let me do it at ledger level. So when we see payable module, so we'll see uh, how do we apply that to the particular business unit, and we'll see how budgeting works in the accounts payable module. Okay, yeah. So we have created this control budget. Okay, so here if you see status not ready to use, so which means so the budget check will not be done if we have status as not ready for use. So I'll have to go to action to prepare for use. We'll say yes. Okay, so this will trigger the schedule process. So let me check if the schedule process is completed without any error. Okay, so here if you see, so the moment I define this control budget, so system will also create the cubes. So where will I use this cube is that in my reporting aspects I can use. So let's say I'm building my actual versus budget report in FRS, or let's say FRS. I mean, you can use it at FRS, or if you want to use it at Smart View reports, so that also you can do it. So in this case, let's assume I'm using it for FRS. Okay, so what I'll do is that so I will use this particular cube there in order to generate the report, which means that on the one side I'll have my budget amount, and on the other side I'll have my actual transaction that is generated in, I mean created in the system. And then in the third column I can define the formula saying variance. Okay, so which will give me the difference between budget versus actual. Okay. So that's the use of having this balance cube. So it's basically a space component. So it will generate automatically. So it will create if you create a new ledger, and also it will create if you create new budget, it will do it. And also in the cash management you have cash positioning. Okay, so there also again it will create the cube. Okay, so there are multiple places this cubes will be created. So one such place is this. Okay, so the program is done. So okay, so let me just add this budget to this user. Manage data access. So let me just say add, and then here. Okay, I'll have to give this role. So let me just give this role to this user. Okay, so now I should be able to see this in the list. So you have two roles. So one is budget analyst and the other one is budget controller. So in this case, I'm using budget analyst. Yeah, it is here. That is control budget, and the one that we created is JK. Okay, yeah, this is the one. So we have attached this role. Okay, I think since I have added new roles, I'll have to just log out once and log in. Okay, so let me just add this role also called budget controller. So the user is Buddy again. Yeah, so I'll just again go back to this one to give access to the budget that we created. So manage data access. Sorry, manage data access. Okay, so this would be this thing called budget manager. Control budget. So here it is JK. So just say OK, save and close. Okay, so now I'll have to log out once and then log in to see the control budget options enabled. Okay, because that, so what we have done till now is creating in so one thing is that we enabled it at ledger and the business unit level. Okay, so that is first thing that we did, and second option that we did is that so we created one control budget. So wherein we created one supplemental rule which says that I will use this budgetary control only for my expense account code combination. Okay, so that's what we have defined. So now in order to use this, so if I since I have enabled budgetary control, so system will check for the budget balance. Okay, so for that what I'm doing is that so I'm just trying to add balance to the budget. So probably I'll add it for one account. We'll just test it with one account because that's the same thing that's going to happen for the rest of the accounts as well. Okay, yeah, so this is the option if you see the budgetary control. So I'll just click this option called budgetary control. Okay, so here you'll see the budget period statuses. Okay, if you remember, so we did not create it for 1 year. We created it only till August, if I remember correctly, August or September sometime, but it's not for the complete year. So that's the reason. If you select December, so you'll not see any period here. But whereas if you select a different range, so let's say I'm just selecting August period, so I'll see the status here. Okay. So I'll just see. So here if you see, so this is in the status of available for budgeting. So I'll just say edit and open the periods. So here if you see, so as I said, it's from Jan to August that we created. So let me just say open for July and August. And then I'll just say save and close. Okay, so we have opened the budget period. Okay, so then so this is the option that we saw there, that is manage control budget. So we created one control budget with the supplemental rule, so that is this option. Okay, so now if I want to load the budget balance, so I'll add to say enter budget in spreadsheet. So this will ask me if I'm doing it for the first time or the budget revision. So let's say I have already loaded the budget and I'm just adding this to the addition to what I have already loaded. So I'll just say budget revision. But in this case, it's the new budget that I have created and I'm loading this for the first time. So I'll just say initial budget. Yeah, so here you have it also for the general ledger reporting, but I'm not using this option right now. Okay, so what is the general accounting reporting is that, so if so we have something called dimension, again the same point. Okay, so if I want to use it there, so I can say it's for the general ledger reporting also, but this I'm using it only for the budgetary control validation. So I'll say budgetary control validation, and this is the first time that we are doing. So I'll just say initial budget. Okay, and if you see here, so we gave access only to JK budget, so that's the reason I'm saying only that budget, and by default it will give us the start and end period. So probably if I don't want to use it till August, I want to use it till April, so I can just override here or change it here at this point. Okay, and then this is nothing but your budget scenario. So as I said, if we want to use it for reporting. Okay, yeah. Yeah, then this is again the same option what we saw here. So since this is initial budget, I'm selecting the first option, that is new budget. If we are adding to the existing balance, so we'll say addition to the current project, sorry, current budget. Okay, so I'll just say new budget and say create spreadsheet. Okay, so just open this. Okay, so I'll have to input the login credentials. So this is my username. This is the password. Okay, so here if you see, so we enabled it only for the account segment. So that's the reason you are looking at only the account, but if we have added for multiple segment, we can use that as well. Okay, so in this case, so let me take one expense account and load the balance for that particular thing. So let me take it for let's say rent. Okay, let me take this one, water usage expense, and say okay. Okay, so let me add budget of 10,000 for each period. Okay, so I have given it starting from Jan till August. Okay, so I'll just say submit. Okay, so let me just check if the schedule process is completed. So I'll just say schedule process.
Hi Harun.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, actually I have worked on this budget concept only once I think so. But
Okay,
the thing is like that time you said like ledger level. It works on
right.
ledger level or accounts level, like PPM level. I'm not aware of that PPM and all.
Okay,
And the first thing is while creating accounting calendar will create no in that budget
right,
control we have enabled, right? That time
right.
we will not enable that one. If you have enabled that one, that thing, that calendar is useful for this purpose.
Yeah, only for budget. So we will not be able to use it for ledger. So it is used only for the purpose of budgeting.
So again we have to create a special calendar for budgeting purpose alone.
Yeah, only for budget. I mean, it's not mandatory, but let's say your accounting calendar, which has two adjustment period, but you don't have this calendar to be used for your budgetary control, or let's say you wanted to have a quarterly budget. So now you cannot use your accounting calendar as your budget control. So in that case, you will use or you will create a separate calendar only for the purpose of budget, and here you will say it's for the quarter, let's say from first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So that is the scenario, you will go for the budgetary calendar.
Okay, but there is some option like budgetary control enable option. Is that?
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
but is there? But there is no use for there.
I mean, it means that, I mean, uses this, it means that it is used only for the purpose of budgeting. No other uses can be used with that calendar.
Okay, so again we have to use the special calendar for budgeting purpose. So that
Correct,
could
correct.
okay. And another thing is like PPM, how it will works on that PPM.
So PPM is different entirely, because PPM, if you look at it, so it's basically the transaction calendar that we are using. So when I say transaction calendar, so you have the general accounting calendar that is created here. And this is the same that you will link it with your project module. Okay, so there you have option to create your budget there, which means that you say it as project budget. So now this date is linked there from the project module to our general accounting. So that's the reason if you see, so when you create, so revenue budget is separate and cost budget, whatever you're creating it there, so that will flow to your general accounting module as well, because your transaction date and the accounting date what we are referring at here, both are same in terms of doing the transaction. Okay, so that's the reason this budget is created here in general ledger also, even though you will not be able to load the balances here because the balances are loaded there in the project module itself. So that's the reason you are having this link. So this date is linked there in the project module itself. So here we are not linking for the project. So this date control or this period control used only for budgetary control. It's only for the purpose of using for your ledger or the business unit, not for the projects.
So when we process no and at GL level or subledger level, we can able to uh, yeah, access in budget, right?
Correct.
Okay. It's like when you process journal or post it, then it will reflect in budget. And when we
Correct.
processing anything in subledger like APAR, then it will also process in that budget. It's
Yeah.
in FS there is some application we can easily go with the role we can easily go on inside and
Yeah.
in
Right.
the budget case no it's restrict that see you have absolute is there and track is there and another one is what do you say absolute track none and
Track and advisory.
uh, in none cases how it will reflect it will not intimate anything.
Yeah, none meaning that you are not using this control basically. So it's not going to validate also. So if you say none, which means that even your report will not capture this the beyond your fund available if you are spending it. Even in your report, it's not going to capture. So that's about none, which means that you are not basically using this option to control your budget failures.
Okay, okay. It's like every month the particular amount has been spended. If it's spended over, it will not pass through the transaction and it will yeah it will give a error, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, so that's the normal thing that system will do. But if you give none, which means that it will get passed even though you don't have funds available, since we have selected here as none.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
If in that case, track means it will track all the data and then
Yeah.
you using report we can view that report,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, 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 fine, fine.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this budget should have been loaded. Okay. So here let me just review the budget entries and then we can check for one journal entry. Okay. So we can see it. I mean, we gave it starting from Jan till August, which means for 8 months we have given this budget balance or the amount. Okay. So for each period we have given 10,000. Okay. So that's the amount that we are looking at here. So now if you want to see the detailed information, you can just click that. So that is an hyperlink. So it is going to tell you by period. Okay. So as I said, this is the one. So now if you add a new amount to it, so it's going to give the addition to what we are seeing it right now. So I'll just say done. Yeah, so let me just try to create one journal entry, so one manual entry, and I'll show you how this is validated. Okay, I think I have not given access to this ledger, so quickly let me add the access. So let me go back to the same screen, manage data access. Okay, so I'll just log out and log in once. Okay, so I'll just say create journal, and here the account I'll use is the total usage expense. I'll just say this is my expense journal. Okay, and the period, if you see, so this is latest open period, but I don't want to use it at latest open period, so probably let me say it's for the month of June that I'm giving it here. Okay, and then let me see, this is for manual. So let me say water usage. Yeah, so this is the one that we used. So now first I will I'll say $20,000, and then here I'll select the cash account. So I'll just say save, and I'll say check funds. So since I don't have a fund to the extent of 20,000, so this will fail. So let me just change the amount to 5,000. Okay, so now the expectation is this should allow me to do the transaction. So let me save this and again check for the funds. Period not open. I think I opened period. 1 minute. Okay, so this is for June. I think I opened for July and August. So this is June. Yeah, so June period I did not open. Okay, so Let me try again with 20,000, which should restrict me. So I'll just say save and again check funds. Yeah. So now it says insufficient fund. So now if you see here, so it's checking for only one leg. That is for the expense account code combination, because the rule that we have written is that it should check only for the expense accounts. Okay, so that's the reason. So let me just change this amount to 5,000. So now the expectation is it should get passed. Yeah. So the fund check is passed now. Okay. So now if you post it, so it should get post, but since there is an approval that is okay, so let me just remove this approval for time being, and I'll post this journal. So this journal should get posted. Okay, so let me check for manual. So let me disable the approval for this. I think that will get effect only for the new transactions that we are creating. So I'll just say post. But the process is same for you. Okay, so if you just once once you just approve this, or if we try to create new journal entry and post this, so this should get posted because we don't have anything in specific in terms of budgetary control. So if the funds has passed, so probably we should be seeing this particular journal in the posted status. Okay, so now I'll go back to the budget screen, and let me take review budgetary control balances, and I'll say Jan to August, and the one that we created is one minute. I'll just take the exact account and I'll try to put it here. So manage journals. So here the one that we created is for the month of June. So I'll just say expense. Yeah. So this is the one that we created. So it is 52496. Yeah. So this is the one. So I'll just say search. Okay. I think I did not post it. Okay, I'll try to create one more JB because since I did not post it, the budget did not take in effect. So let me do it for the same period. So, okay, let me do it for July. So again the manual. take the same account, that is 52496 as my debit with 5000. Okay, and then the cash account by my credit side. Okay, so I'll just save and I'll say check for funds past. I'll just say post. Let me check if this is completed. Yeah, so the budget got posted now. So now again, let me go back to the budget screen and review the balance. Yeah, so it is here in the July month. So here if you see, so you'll have the total budget, okay, and the expenditure. So expenditure that we made is for 5000, okay. So that's the total consumption for the period, and then here you can see the funds available. So that is again the 5000 because we gave it as a 10,000. So you will see the utilization percentage. So the utilization is 50%. Okay. So that's about it. So transfer budget is basically from one account to other account if you want to transfer. So all those options. So if you are probably retiring this particular account and you are creating new account, so you will transfer from one account to other account. So that's about this. Okay. So what are the other options that you have in budget is that, so for this, to review the budgetary control, so I will need the actual transactions. So this we will revisit when we do the payables transactions. Okay. So by then we'll see if I'm creating one I mean one invoice there. So how it is reflecting in the payable modules, and again we'll come back here and review the control transactions. Okay. So that's what we'll do it here. Okay, and then we have a report here. So let me go back to schedule process and say schedule new process. Okay. Okay, so this report will give us the high level on the budget for the selected period. Okay, so that's about it. So this is, I think I gave it for Jan, I believe. So that's the reason we are seeing only the Jan data. Okay, so probably if we have given it for the different periods, so we'll see the expenses here and the utilization. So it's the same screen, but if you want to look at the report, so you can see here. Okay. Any doubt till this point?
No.
Okay, fine. So if we are good, we can start tables if you are fine with it. Or do you want to check and start in the next class, or how do we want to take this?
Um, that what I'm about to say, like the tree hierarchy, and then standard the that accounting methods. Is it will
Okay.
cover?
Tree hierarchy and accounting methods, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Accounting method, it's the standard one that we are creating. I mean, to customize that, maybe we can see it in the payable session if probably if I want to customize it based on let's say I am selecting this asset item, or let's say any parameter that I'm selecting. So how do I generate custom account code combination so that we can see it? But in GL we don't have anything specific for the accounting method, because it's the one that is used for the subledger accounting, because that is where we are generating the accounting, and the accounts or the transactions are posted in GL as an accounting information. So here we are not doing anything specific. It's the subledger module where we'll do basically the customizations.
It means like once the subledger has been processed, after that we can get into it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay, and the second point is on the tree structure. So tree structure is this. I think we saw some time back. So I'll just explain again. Okay, so if we go to setup and maintenance, so this we saw when we saw chart of accounts, I think, in the initial sessions. So now, if you go to this financial reporting structure, so if you say all task, so here you will find, so this tree structure is nothing but building your what do you call, so building your parent and child combination. Okay, so that's about your tree structure. So I'll just say create one tree structure. So usually, so I'm just creating it manually, but if you see, so this is not in real time I'm saying. So this is not created manually, but instead we will basically load it as part of COA. So if you open your chart of accounts Excel sheet, that is FBDI template, so on one sheet we will have our chart of accounts value, and on the second sheet we will have the tree structure or the parent and child combination that we want to basically use. So that's the thing that we will have it there. Okay. So now the option that I'll show here is that to create it manually. Okay, so I'll just say JK tree, and I'll say accounting flex fee, because this I'm creating it for account. Okay, let me just take the value set, because this particular tree structure that we are talking about is at the value set. Okay, So let's say I wanted to use this structure for my company segment. I'll give the chart of accounts value, I mean value set as company's VS. If I'm going to use it for account, so I'm going to use accordingly. So in this case, I will say this is, so this is for the account segment. So first let me take it from the ledger. So this is the chart of accounts instance. Okay, I'll just go back to this one. Okay, so the segment, I mean the value set for this is corporate account. Okay, so this is my value set code. So here what I have done is that I have created my tree. Okay, so here I'll add to associate my value set. I'll just say paste. So make sure there is no space. Okay, so I'll just say save and click next. Okay, so here I can just say submit and add version to this. So again I'm saying JK tree. Okay, so I'll just say the effective date as Jan 1 2023, and I'll just say next. Okay, so here if you see node, so this is where basically we are defining our parent and child combination. So if I'm using or loading using my FBDA template, so I'll not add anything here, so I'll simply say submit, and using my tree or the tree structure this thing, so I'll load using the Excel sheet, but in this case I'm selecting it manually, so I'll just say add. Okay, so here if you see, so if you want to add a specific value, so you can do that, or if you want to give with range you can give. So these are the options, and here if you see you have the detail value. So detail value is nothing but our child value, and the parent value if you see here, so it's the asset account. So let's say I'm just adding this as an asset, and I'll come back here and I'll say this is, okay, I think I did not include my parent first. Let me say add again. So first let me add the parent. So in this case it is 10000. Okay, so I'll just say add, and then I'll add child values to this. So I'll change this to detailed one, and here I have my cash account. Okay, so I'll just say okay. So now if I expand this, so I'll have my cash account. So similarly you can have any number of count. So for the purpose of simplicity, I'm just saying this is my parent and this is my child value. So always you will be able to do transaction only with your child values but not with parent value. So whatever the transaction that you are doing with your child value, so that will be rolled up to your parent value. Okay, so let's say I have done transaction of $10,000. So now this will be rolled up to my asset. So similarly, if I have my second child value, so 1 plus 2, which will aggregate and tell me 20,000 for my asset account. Okay, so that's about it. So I'll just say submit. So once this is done, so I'll have to check here. So let me just take, if I expand this, if you see here, by default the status would be in draft. So I'll have to do the activation. So I'll say active. So the moment you say active, so this will ask us to do online valid. So I mean, it's not mandatory to do online audit, but if you want to schedule it, you can do that also. But I'm saying online audit. So this is going to just validate if the information that I have entered in the system, so all are correct. Okay. So the audit is completed without any error. So I'll just say okay. Okay. So now if you see, the status is inactive. So now, unless we publish this particular structure, so we'll not be able to use it in our reports. Either it could be your FRS reports or it could be your Smart View report. So nowhere we will be able to use that particular parent and child combination that we have created. Okay, so the chart of accounts anyway you will be seeing it, but this parent and child will not be able to see. So for that, you'll have to publish this. Okay, I'll have to go to financial reporting structure. So from here I will have to publish. Yeah, it is here. Publish account hierarchies. So I'll select the one that we created. Okay, so the one that we created is JK. Okay, so this is the one JK tree, and I'll say search. So just expand this. Okay, so you have this option called publish. So unless you enable this checkbox, so this particular thing will not be published. Okay, so I have selected the publish option and I'll say publish. Okay, so this will trigger a schedule process. So let me check if this is completed. So once this is completed, so you can make sure that this hierarchy is created. Okay, so this can be used in your financial reports. So that is about the tree structure. Any question?
So, see, we have created a tree structure for a cash and asset.
Hmm.
So, the child value is visible and the parent value is not visible, right? We can create or
I mean, you're talking about the journal entry.
in any of the cases, like in any cases, we in reporting cases, in journal entry, we can do it.
No, in journal, so that's what I'm saying. So if you are talking about the report, so in report you will see both the parent and child. But if you are talking about the journal entry, you will see only the child values. Because as I said, you'll not be able to do the transaction for or with my parent account, but it's only the child account that I can use. So whatever the transaction that I'm creating it here, so that will be rolled up to my parent.
Oh, okay. And it in that case, so if there is multiple company, the parent and child, that time it will be useful or what?
No, the use for this is that see now let's take a scenario. So wherein I am trying to build my financial statement or my profit and loss. Okay. So now what I will do is that, so I'll say these are my expenses. So in simple term we are saying these are my expenses, but in actual terms, so it's not only the expense as a whole that we'll be looking at it. So it's also the financial expenses and the operating expenses. So there are multiple categories and classifications, right? So now, so now if I build this parent and child combination, so let's say I'm taking my accounts payable account, which means my liability account. So now under accounts payable, I'll have my supplier payable, I'll have my employee payable, and I'll have my petty cash payable, and then I'll have my other payables. So now this accounts payable is my parent. Okay. and on top of that I'll have my liability. So below this accounts payable I'll have these four child accounts. Okay, so now if I want to take report, so let's say I'm taking this report as an drill down option, so I'll be able to see the breakup. And also if I want to look at my only, I don't want to see my breakup, let's say I don't want to know my supplier, employee and these things separately. I want to know what is accounts payable balance as of now. So I can see at top level itself. I don't want to give it at multiple levels. So that's the reason we are building this parent and child combination.
Okay.
Okay.
For reporting purpose, it will.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about just the program. So once this is completed, so we'll be able to see this in our reports. Okay, so the one program is completed and the other program is still running, so it should get completed. So once this is completed, so we should be able to see this in our FRS report. Okay. Any other question?
Arun, I want like what kind of issues, no, when we are working on support projects, focusing on GL module, issues might
Specific
come up, and how do we like?
support
Yeah, even that
issues.
I have questions, but if you share
Yeah.
some GL or anything,
Any
that is, yeah.
maybe I
Yeah.
can generally like what, no, that's kind of a no general issues like.
General issues, probably I can say one such issue is the account classes. I mean, account class, when I say account class, it is the account type that has given us, which means is misclassification. So that I can say as one issue. So meaning that, so instead of giving this as my revenue, so I have given this as my expense. So there are certain activities that I'll have to do, so in terms of changing this, because if you see, so I have entered this transaction. So there is a data fetch from Oracle. Okay, so that I'll have to first apply that and then come back here to change this to update the balance in my current or the correct account type. Okay, so this is one type of issue that I can say, and the other one I could say probably the revaluation. So revaluation is something that if my currency is valued, so if there is any loss or gain which should generate, so wherein the account, in the criteria we will have to keep the account, but somehow this account is missed out there. So this journal entry did not create. So this is one thing that I can say. And then in the budgeting control, okay, so that will be an issue in terms of handling the accounts. So this account has the budget balance, but still it is shown as this thing. So reason being, so if you have enabled this budget with absolute and the budget balance somehow did not get loaded, which you can review in the same screen which we saw just before. Okay, so I mean, more major of the issues that I have seen is from your this thing payable and receivable and fixed asset module, but GL less likely issues I have seen, because here if you see, so it's majorly of your accounting repository and the reporting need and these things. So general ledger I haven't seen much of an issue, but it's in the accounts payable or the accounts receivable or the fixed asset module where I used to get tickets. So in GL, as I can think of, so these are the issues that I can remember.
I would suggest we can have some separate session over this issue. I think so. Uh, Once everyone is joined, no, that we can share this thing, right? Even I was wondering. See, I'm not actually new to this project. See, when I work on this interview, when I sit in the interview, they are straight away questioning what are the issues we are resolving.
Okay.
Yeah, if something needs to talk, no, that's I have to know something about that. That's the thing looking for.
Okay.
Or else we can connect in any once in weekdays or any day. We will connect and then we will discuss on this.
Okay.
Let
So
let
that's what,
me know
as I
if you have any time. I will.
Yeah, no issues. So as I said, so GL general, if you see, so you will not get most of the tickets, or as far as I have seen, as per my knowledge, so GL, these are the issues that you will get. But apart from that, majorly you will get it from fixed asset, payable, and receivable. So these are the three models that I have seen most of the issues. So wherein I can explain you, probably I can refer to my drive if I have some backup. So I can take that and probably I can give you few issues that I have worked on, and I can share you the details. But GL, as I have worked, so these are the issues that I have seen or I can remember.
Yeah, that would be helpful for us. Leave about the GL, but rest of the things, if you once
Yeah, yeah, no issues.
your
Yeah, yeah,
previous
no
experience,
issues. No
yeah,
issues. You can share.
fine.
Okay, then shall we wind up, Varun?
Yeah, sure. So we'll start payables next week.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.